So today we're going to apply color theory and blending using acrylic paint. I'm going to start by painting or laying down a pure color, which is going to be red for this, and I'm going to paint a value scale. First, I will move on to the left side of this painting or this scale, and I'm going to use tints. Tints are any pure color plus white. So I'm adding a little white to my red, making a dark pink shade. Then I'll add a little more white to that pink, making it a little lighter. And I'll just keep adding white to make my red a tint, a light tint. Now I'm going to create some shades of red by mixing red and black. I start by adding just a little bit of black to the red, and I'll keep adding more as needed just to darken it up or create that darker shade like I want it. The next section I'm working on is blending tints and shades. So I start using a white shade of paint or white value of paint. I move on to pink and I'll mix those two values together. And then I'll keep darkening it to create more of a darker pink into a pure red. Then I blend the red into a darker red by mixing black in it. So like I said, adding black creates a shade, and I'll just keep doing that back and forth until I create a light pink all the way to a dark red. The next section is creating tones using the color red and mixing it with gray. So again, I start by mixing a light gray and I'll put a little bit of red into it towards the middle and I'll blend those two values together. And I just keep doing that, making sure I'm blending back and forth and adding a little more red as I get further down my value scale. Remember to keep blending back and forth while your paint is still wet. This next section is painting analogous colors. Analogous colors or color schemes are 3 to 4 colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So I'm starting with yellow. I'll mix to make a yellow orange, a pure orange, a red orange, and I'll end with red. But while the paint is still wet, I'm going to keep blending the colors back and forth to kind of create a smooth gradient or transition. Using that analogous color scheme, I'm going to paint this sphere on the right. You always want to start painting light to dark when you're using acrylic. Remember to blend your colors while they're both still wet so you create a smooth transition or clean gradient. Now I'm going to go back and add a highlight. When I first started painting the sphere, I overblended and my white turned more into a light yellow. Now I added a little too much white. So to fix that, I'm just going to tap that white in circular motions and remove the paint from my brush as I go. Since my paint is so thin, I'm going over with another layer of each color, and instead of blending smoothly back and forth, I'm just using a tapping motion to create texture and blend all my colors together. I'm going to use a different method this time for painting. Instead of just going light to dark, I'm going to start by painting a base layer of pure red, getting an even flat tone. I'm only doing this because my paint is kind of thin and I want to make sure I build up different layers. But I'm still going to use the same techniques as I did on the right sphere afterwards. Now I'm going in with my white paint and I'm blending it to create a lighter pink. I'm making sure I paint using lighter tones first, painting light to dark, and then I'll add my shadows in last. For the demonstration, while I'm creating my shadows, I am mixing in a little black to create a shade, but I usually try to stay away from using black and instead use a complementary color and mix it with a pure color or whatever its complement is to create a darker shadow. Last but not least, do not forget to paint your cast shadow under whatever your objects are. So I'm going to paint from light to dark and blend it out using a tapping motion.